I never expected a girl like Emily to destroy me. Not just my heart, but everything I had worked for: my grades, my reputation, even my sanity. She was the school beauty, the golden girl everyone admired. The kind of girl who smiled at you like you were the only person in the world. The kind of girl who made people believe in miracles. Until the day I found out she was lying. Cancer. That word shattered my world. She told me she had cancer, breast cancer. I believed her. The school believed her. Teachers gave her special treatment. Friends whispered prayers. I held her hand through the darkest nights, whispering promises that we'd get through this together. But none of it was true. One careless night, I saw the truth. A receipt popped up on her laptop screen. A luxury spa appointment, booked right when she claimed to be in the middle of chemotherapy. I froze. How could she fake something so devastating? How could she steal my trust like that? My heart cracked. And just when I confronted her, hoping for honesty, hoping for some shred of truth, she coldly told me to leave. "Maybe it's better if we're done," she said, her eyes empty and distant. That was the moment everything changed, because I wasn't going to be her victim anymore. She ruined my grades by dragging me through her lies and dramas. She twisted my world upside down. Now, it was my turn. I decided to break her. Not physically, no, I'd shatter her mind, her carefully crafted perfect image. This is the story of how the school's golden girl faked cancer and tried to dump me, and how I turned the tables, breaking her sanity in the process. Because sometimes, the ones you love the most become the ones who hurt you the deepest. And sometimes, you have to fight fire with fire. My name's Alex. I'm just an ordinary guy, nothing special, but not invisible either. I'm a junior at Westwood High, the kind of school where everyone knows your name, your business, and sometimes, your secrets. I've always been the steady type. Good grades, decent at soccer, a small group of friends I trusted. Life was simple, predictable, until Emily. Emily was the kind of girl you couldn't miss, even if you tried. Golden hair that caught the sunlight like a halo, eyes that sparkled with mischief and mystery, and a smile that could light up the darkest hallways. The entire school was enchanted by her teachers, students, even the principal. She was the perfect daughter, the perfect student, the perfect girlfriend. We met freshman year in English class. She sat beside me, laughing at my lame jokes like I was the funniest guy alive. It didn't take long for me to realize she wasn't just beautiful, she was smart, ambitious, and surprisingly down-to-earth beneath all that glamour. At first I thought she was out of my league. Emily was popular. I was not. But she didn't care about popularity. She made me feel like I was the only person in the world. Our relationship started quietly. Coffee after school, late-night talks under streetlights, shared secrets in empty classrooms. Those moments made me feel like I belonged somewhere, like I mattered. She told me stories about her family, how her parents were always busy, how she learned to be strong on her own. But she never complained. Emily was a survivor. I remember the night she first held my hand, trembling, and whispered, "Promise me you'll never leave." I promised. And for a while, everything felt perfect. We celebrated birthdays with small surprises, studied together before exams, and spent weekends watching movies on her couch. She had this habit of biting her lip when she was nervous, and I loved it. But there were cracks I couldn't ignore. Emily had these sudden disappearances. Hours when she wouldn't answer my calls or texts. Her phone was always locked. Sometimes, I'd see her eyes glaze over, like she was somewhere else, battling ghosts I couldn't see. One time, after soccer practice, I found her crying in the locker room. She hugged me so tight I thought she'd break. "I'm scared, Alex," she said. Scared I'm not strong enough. I held her, told her she was the strongest person I knew. I wanted to believe her. And that's when she told me about the cancer. Her voice was fragile, cracked like a breaking glass. "It's real," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "But I don't want anyone to know yet. Not until I'm ready." I became her rock. Attending doctor appointments, carrying her books, helping her study when she was too weak. The school rallied behind her. Teachers gave her extra time. Friends sent messages of support. I thought I was helping the girl I loved survive. But deep down, something didn't sit right. There was a distance growing between us, invisible, suffocating. And I couldn't shake the feeling that Emily was hiding something, not just the cancer, but something far worse. Because sometimes, the brightest smiles hide the darkest lies. It started with a small crack, nothing that screamed danger at first, just a feeling, a whisper in the back of my mind telling me something was wrong. Emily had been distant lately, more than usual. Her smiles felt forced, her laughter hollow. I chalked it up to the cancer, the stress of school, the pressure of pretending to be brave. But then, one evening, everything changed. I had stayed late at the library, poring over my textbooks, trying to keep my grades afloat. My phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "Can't talk tonight, sorry." It was unusual for her to be so curt. I sent a few more texts, but no reply. My gut twisted. Around midnight, I decided to stop by her house. Maybe she was scared, maybe she needed me. When I got there, the lights were off, the house silent. No answer when I knocked. I left a note under the door. The next day at school, I tried to act normal. But every time I looked at her, I saw something in her eyes, something cold and unreadable. Then I found the phone. It was lying on the kitchen counter when I came over to study one afternoon. Emily must have left it behind. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. The screen was locked, but the message preview showed part of a conversation. "Can't wait to see you tonight." My heart stopped. I didn't want to believe it. I unlocked the phone with the code she had given me months ago, 1122. It was a mistake, I know. But I needed to know. The messages were there. Between Emily and someone named Ryan. Casual texts at first, jokes, emojis, normal stuff. But then things shifted. "Missed you today. Let's meet after school. Promise I'll take care of you." I scrolled through dozens of messages, my mind refusing to accept what my eyes were reading. Why was she hiding this? Why did she lie about her treatments, about being sick? The worst part was how easily she talked about me in the messages, like I was just a chapter she could close when she wanted. That night, I sat in my room, phone burning a hole in my hand, heartbreaking piece by piece. I confronted her the next day. "Who is Ryan?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. Emily's eyes flickered, then hardened. "That's none of your business," she snapped. "But you said you had cancer," I said, feeling foolish. "The treatments, the hospital, all lies?" She looked away. "It was complicated." "Complicated?" I echoed, disbelief thick in my throat. She shrugged, cold and indifferent. "Maybe it's better if we don't see each other anymore." The betrayal cut deeper than I imagined. How do you fight someone who pretends to be dying? How do you hold on to love when everything around you is a lie? That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every smile, every promise. Was any of it real? Or was I just a fool in her twisted game? I stared at my phone screen again, the messages from Emily and Ryan glowing coldly in the dark. My fingers shook. I read them over and over, the sweet words, the secret plans, the lies wrapped in emojis and casual texts. Who was she? The girl I thought I knew? The girl I loved with everything I had? Was she even real? Or was she just a perfect mask hiding a stranger underneath? A part of me screamed to believe it was a mistake, that I'd misunderstood everything. Maybe Ryan was just a friend, nothing more. Maybe Emily was trapped in some mess she couldn't tell me about. But deep down, the truth clawed at my soul like a wild animal, sharp, relentless, and unforgiving. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smile, that radiant, innocent smile, but behind it, a dark shadow that didn't belong. I kept replaying the moments, searching for clues I missed. The locked phone, the secret disappearances, the cold looks when I asked simple questions. How could I have been so blind? At school, I became a ghost. I smiled when I had to, but it felt like a mask, a costume I wore to hide the broken pieces inside. My friends noticed. Jason pulled me aside one day. Dude, what's going on? You're not yourself. I wanted to tell him everything, but the words stuck in my throat. It's complicated, I said, forcing a smile. Inside, I was drowning in confusion. Was I angry? Furious that she betrayed me? Yes. Was I sad? Devastated that the girl I trusted could lie about something so serious? Absolutely. But beneath it all was fear. Fear of losing her completely. Fear that maybe, just maybe, she needed help. I tried to reach out to Emily again. Please talk to me, I texted. No reply. Days passed like this: silence, cold shoulders, and empty promises. One afternoon, I saw her in the hallway talking to Ryan. They laughed too closely, their eyes locked like they belonged to another world. My heart broke all over again. I wanted to scream, to yell, to make her see what she was doing to me. But I held back. Later that night, I sat alone in my room, staring at the ceiling. I loved you, I whispered into the darkness. Why did you lie? The silence was the only answer. My mind raced with questions I couldn't answer. Had she ever loved me? I wanted to believe the last one. I needed to. But trust had been shattered. Every memory felt tainted. Every promise felt hollow. I felt like I was walking through a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Then, one night, my phone buzzed. A message from Emily. I'm sorry, it said. Just those 2 words. My heart leapt, hope flickering. Maybe she wanted to explain. Maybe she wanted to fix this. I replied immediately. Please, talk to me. Hours passed with no answer. I lay there, heart pounding, every second stretching like an eternity. The next day, at school, I saw her again. She looked at me, eyes full of something I couldn't place. Guilt, fear, or regret. Before I could say a word, she walked away. And I realized then, this wasn't just about betrayal. This was about survival. For her, and maybe for me too. Just when I thought I had seen the worst, the truth hit me like a punch to the gut. It started with a late-night call from one of Emily's closest friends, Sarah. Her voice was shaky, hesitant. Alix, you need to know something. It's about Emily. My heart thudded, cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. What is it? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She never had cancer. It was all a lie. The treatments, the hospital visits, none of it happened. She faked everything. I froze. No, I whispered, disbelief washing over me like a tidal wave. Sarah went on. She's been pretending for months, manipulating everyone. And the worst part? She's been sabotaging your grades behind your back. My mind reeled. How? Why? I barely managed. She's been slipping you fake notes, distracting you during exams, even telling teachers false stories about you so you'd fall behind. She didn't want you to succeed. She wanted control, to keep you under her thumb. I felt bile rise in my throat. The Emily I thought I loved was a master manipulator. The girl who smiled at me was a stranger, a liar, playing a cruel game. I sat in silence, the walls closing in around me. I needed proof. I had to see it for myself. The next day, I followed her after school. She met Ryan at a quiet cafe, laughter bubbling between them like they shared some secret joke. But what happened next shattered me again. Emily pulled out a thick envelope and slid it across the table to Ryan. I couldn't hear their words, but I saw the smug smile on her face. The way Ryan's eyes gleamed told me everything. She was cashing in on the lies, selling her fake story to the highest bidder, maybe for sympathy, maybe for money. I felt like my chest was crushed under a rock. I confronted her that night. You lied about everything, I said, voice trembling with rage and hurt. Why? She looked at me, eyes cold, almost amused. Because everyone loves a victim, she sneered. It's the easiest way to get what you want. Tears burned my eyes, but I held back. How could you ruin me? My grades? My trust everything? She shrugged. I needed control. You were getting too independent, too smart. I couldn't have that. That moment broke me. I realized I wasn't just hurt. I was trapped in her twisted web. But I wasn't going down without a fight. The girl who faked cancer and destroyed me was about to meet the consequences. Because this time, I was ready to take back my life. The air in the room felt thick like the calm before a storm. I stood there, my hands clenched into fists, staring at Emily. The girl who had stolen my trust, who had lied about everything, who had broken me piece by piece. "I want to know the truth," I said, my voice barely holding steady. "Why did you do it? Why fake cancer? Why sabotage me?" Emily's eyes met mine, cold and defiant. "You want the truth? Fine." She paced slowly, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. I was tired of being invisible, tired of feeling powerless. Everyone felt sorry for me when I was sick. Teachers, friends, even you. It was the only way I could control my life. I shook my head, disbelief mixing with anger. "At what cost? You destroyed me." A bitter laugh escaped her lips. "You were never going to be more than a project to me. Someone to keep under control. My grade slipping was my way of making sure you stayed dependent." My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. "So, this was all just manipulation? You used me?" Emily shrugged, almost bored. "Call it what you want. I did what I had to survive." I felt tears sting my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. "And Ryan? What about him?" Her expression shifted just for a moment. A flicker of guilt? Regret? He was the only one who really knew me. The only one I could be honest with. I took a step closer, my voice dropping. "But you lied to him too. You lied to everyone." She swallowed hard, her defenses cracking. "Maybe. But you think your perfect life is so much better? You're just as trapped as I am." The room seemed to shrink around us. I could feel every word, every breath charged with pain and desperation. Suddenly, she dropped her gaze. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you. I just didn't know how to be real." Her words hit me like a freight train. The girl who destroyed me was breaking down too. Vulnerable. Fragile. I felt my anger give way to something unexpected pity, maybe even a twisted kind of love. For a moment, we just stood there, two broken souls tangled in a web of lies and regret. Then I made my decision. "I can't keep living like this," I said quietly. "But I'm not going to let you ruin me anymore." She looked up, eyes wide, searching mine. "I'm done being your victim," I continued. "It's time for you to face the consequences." Emily's breath caught. For the first time, I saw fear flicker behind her mask. I turned away, my heart heavy but resolute. As I opened the door, I realized something important. This wasn't just about revenge or pain. It was about finding my own strength and finally breaking free. Walking away from Emily's door, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness swirl inside me. The air outside was cool and fresh, a sharp contrast to the heavy silence I'd left behind. For the first time in months, I could breathe without the weight of her lies crushing me. The days that followed were hard. School was a battlefield, whispers chasing me down hallways, eyes darting away when I passed. But I held my head high. I had a story to tell, one that wasn't written by her. I went to the principal with everything I'd uncovered, the fake hospital appointments, the sabotaged assignments, even the messages exchanged with Ryan. It wasn't easy reliving the betrayal, but I knew I had to stand up for myself. Emily was called in. I heard whispers of tears and angry accusations. The girl who once controlled me was now cornered, her empire of lies crumbling. I felt no joy in her downfall, only a quiet satisfaction that justice was finally served. But more than that, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Strength. I began to rebuild my life, piece by piece. My grades improved, my friends came back, and slowly, the light in my world returned. I learned to trust again, not blindly, but cautiously, with eyes wide open. And though the scars Emily left would never fully fade, they became reminders not of pain, but of survival. One afternoon, sitting in the library, I caught sight of her across the room. She looked smaller somehow, defeated. But even then, I felt no anger, just a quiet understanding. People change, or they don't. Sometimes you have to let go, not for them, but for yourself. As I packed my books, I whispered to the empty room, I'm free now. The future stretched ahead, uncertain but mine to claim. And this time, I was ready.